Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Vyond, which is a platform that you've been asking me to look at forever, and I'm finally getting around to it. Vyond is an online video creator that makes either cartoon style videos or whiteboard style videos. So today I'm going to be showing you kind of how it works, and then we'll talk about what I like or dislike about it. I want to let you know that I'm going to be working on the essentials level of Vyond today, and this video is not sponsored. I bought this with my own money, so you know I always give you my honest opinions about these platforms. If you don't know me, if you're new here, my name's Jager. I make pro videos. I also have my YouTube channel where I give you all sorts of tips for making better videos for your business. So you'll be seeing me talking to you here on camera, and then you'll also be seeing what I'm showing you on my computer screen as I make a Vyond video. So let's dive right in. All right, guys, so here is what the Vyond platform looks like when you open it. We're gonna click on over here in the top right of the screen for make a video, and it asks you to select a style to get started. So just to give you a heads up, this little choice they give you here at the beginning, it doesn't really matter, because once you get into the platform, no matter what style you picked right off the bat, you can still access all the elements from all the different styles. And in fact, I think these first two styles, the contemporary and the business friendly, are so similar in the way that they look. Obviously the whiteboard's, mostly black and white, so that one looks a little bit different, but to be honest with you, it really doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm just gonna pick the center one here, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so what Vyond does is it kind of defaults to a particular scene template right off the bat. I think to kind of just try to get you started and excited instead of just showing you a plain white template, which is a lot of what other platforms do. So we're going to be changing all of this out in a second, but let's first do a quick tour around the platform. This should look really familiar if you've seen any of my other videos, because they're all pretty much laid out in a very similar fashion. Down here is our timeline. This is the sequence of all the shots and scenes that we're going to create. Over here in the top left is where you have all of your assets. So these are your characters, your props, charts, text elements, audio elements, and of course you can upload your own elements as well. Now over here on the right is kind of what I would call your inspector. So as you choose different items in, let's say in your scene, so let's click this guy, you'll see that this inspector section here kind of changes in terms of icons. So I can change this guy's action or expression. I can make him say something and things like that. And then if you click other inanimate objects, you can change the color of things or whatever. So this is kind of always changing depending on what we're working on. So now that we've got a little tour going, let us start a new scene. So what I'm going to do is just delete this existing scene because we're going to start fresh. So what we can do is add a template here. So I'm going to right click this white box and choose a template. Now you can start with like a blank page where you can choose every single element and build a scene, or you can choose from a pre-built template, which you can do a lot of customization. Once you choose that template, you can replace objects, people, colors, but I'm going to start with the template, and then maybe we'll do some blank ones going forward. How does that sound? All right, so what you see here is that the templates are split into categories: charts, concepts, education, finance, government. You can arrow over and there's more and more and more. Or you can actually search for something specific. So let's say we click on HR, you can see within the HR category, there are a lot of different scenes. Basically what we're going to be talking about is a listicle about LinkedIn video marketing. I've got a script I've already developed based on a live action video I shot not too long ago. So we're kind of just going to recreate that in a cartoon style. Let's pick charts. Let's do this. All right, so here is the template. You can see we've got a bar graph with 4 different measurements on it. We've got this character here. We've got some text. So let's first start with the bar graph. I actually only want 2 bars in my bar graph. We can change the color of these bars. We can also change the text measurements here. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to actually select this bar graph. You can see I get the box around it. This is something we can resize or rotate. I'm not going to do that yet. And then the first thing I would do is start with what's called chart settings. So we can either turn on the value, which will give us actual figures here. We can turn off the labels, which, let me show you that real quick. That is the text here that's at the bottom. We can turn on a legend, so you can see like the ranges. It tells you what information each color represents. And you can turn on the axis, which is this little bar here. I'm going to turn on labels, turn off legend, and turn on the axis. I kind of like the axis. I think it's a nice graphical element. So now let's modify that chart data. And what I want to do is get rid of the second and third bars, because I'm only comparing 2 bits of information. So I'm going to select this whole row, and then I'm going to hit the delete button and delete that. And then we're going to do this one as well. Great. So now my bars have automatically gotten thicker, which I like. And we want to change the value. So I want this first one to be 25, and I want this next one to be 75. Great. Okay. And it kind of just changes them in proportion, which is good. And then we want to actually change the text of these labels. And to do that, we just click right in this first box. Oops. This is a little tricky. I found this to be a little tricky, modifying this text, because this little field is so short and it's like impossible to highlight the whole thing. And this is going to be, see, again, I'm having a little bit of a challenge. Video, come on, really? Yeah, this is one of those things that I don't think it's designed very well. I mean, it's not ruining our lives, but it is a little bit annoying. Okay, there we go. Text posts and video posts. And let me actually get the information in here so I can show you what we're actually talking about, what our listicle is. And you know what's funny is that it left, if you draw your attention down to the timeline, it left that first blank scene in there, which I don't want. So I'm just going to delete that by hitting the delete button after I select it. And let's add our audio so that this whole video starts to make a little sense to you. So what's great about Vyond that I really like is that they have a text-to-speech feature. Not all of these video platforms have that. I know InVideo has one. And I actually think that the one here in Vyond is slightly better than the one in InVideo. And in InVideo, the voices are very robotic sounding. And here they're also very robotic sounding, but slightly less so. I always recommend either recording a voiceover yourself or hiring a professional narrator. You can go on a website like Voice Jockeys or thevoicecrew.com that will allow you to search different voice styles, pick a narrator, email them a script, and they'll send it back to you as an MP3 file. That is 100% the way I go in my professional projects and what I would recommend that you do as well. But for the purpose of this, I want to show you what you can do in Vyond. And so that's what we're going to work with today. All right, so if we want to add audio, we're going to click the audio button here in the top left, and we're going to click this little microphone plus sign thing where it says add audio when we hover over it. And we are going to click text to speech. And I'm going to just grab from my Word document my entire script. And I want to explain to you why I'm going to put in my entire script in this first scene. And that is because when you select your narrator, and let me show you here, we're going to drop down and see so many different narration options and also so many different languages, which is really great because a lot of you guys ask me about Arabic text in these platforms. So I know you're looking for different languages. So they have Arabic here in the languages. So I think you're going to really love that. They have Chinese, Russian, French, Thai. I mean, they really have a lot of different languages in this feature, and I like that a lot. But what I will tell you is that once you add another text to speech element anywhere else in your video, it won't remember what language or which particular individual narrator, which voice that you selected. So every time you have to reset it. And that to me is super frustrating. I don't know why it doesn't just remember what you picked from the get-go and then let you opt to change it down the road if you wanted to for individual scenes. And so I really don't like that at all about this. So what I'm going to try to do today is do my entire script, and then hopefully I never have to think about this again. So I'm actually going to pick, let's just listen to this first voice. In order to preview this entire script, you have to hit this red button, generate. So let's do that. And then let's play it.
Did you know that videos on LinkedIn get 3 times the engagement of text posts? Here are 3 ideas for LinkedIn video. Idea number 1.
Okay, so I'm not crazy about that voice. I think she's a little robotic sounding, a little flat. So what I'm going to do is hit this edit button, and we are going to roll down and listen to someone else. I think the one that I picked yesterday is named Julie. So let's try that one. All right, I just want to tell you guys what's happening here. I was trying to revise my narration, and I keep getting an error that they can't connect me to their server. So it's a little frustrating. I'm definitely online. I can get on any other website. So Vyond seems to be having some sort of challenge with their server. I am going to go ahead and modify the other elements in this shot that we're working on, and then come back to that audio and see if we have more luck later down the road. This is something that I had a challenge with Animaker as well. And if you saw that hot mess of a video, you know that I had a lot of trouble. In that video, a lot of people commented that it might have been because I was on the Safari browser as opposed to Chrome. And I actually tend to agree with that. I do think I was having a lot of challenges with the Safari browser, but I will say in my defense that Animaker never said don't use this on Safari. Nowhere was I alerted to that. And I will tell you that in video, if you do try to open it in Safari, it says no, you got to go on Chrome, and we are in fact on Chrome right now. So I don't know what's going on here, but let's just kind of try to move forward because I still want to complete this video and show you everything that Vyond can do. So let me click this character here. And is this just all one element, it looks like? I thought maybe she would be separate people. I don't want her. I'm just gonna delete her, and let's just focus on this text. All right, now we can modify this text by clicking over these text settings here. So let me do that. We can change the font. So now let's look at the fonts that Vyond offers to you. This is everything that Vyond offers. It's not horrible, but it doesn't let you customize your fonts or upload new ones unless you upgrade, I think, to almost the highest tier plan on Vyond. That to me is such a drawback. So I don't really like how little flexibility you have here in Vyond font-wise. But aside from that, let's just move forward and pick something in here. I think right now we're in League Gothic, which I do like because there's a lot of text here on my screen. And League Gothic is a very narrow font. And I don't really see anything that I like that's even narrower. So I think I'm going to stick with this. Another thing we can do is change the spacing. You might notice there's a big gap between the first and second lines. That's the default, and I don't really care for that. So I'm just going to close that up. Okay, so the other thing we can do is change the color of this background. You can see here that it's on this dark gray. I can make it any color of the rainbow. I love that. There's I can put in hex codes, and then they also have like prefab palettes that they've designed for you. And I like that as well. I do like this. All of these colors I think are really nice. They've done a nice job selecting colors for each of these palettes. So I don't know if I want to change it. Let's just play around a little bit. That's garish, too pastel. So we had the dark gray. I kind of like this blue, especially since we're talking about LinkedIn. It's not quite the LinkedIn blue, but it's in the ballpark. What about this one? I think I like this darker one better. All right, let's stick with that. And I do like the color of this bar and that bar. And I wonder if I can change the font on the charts. Now, it doesn't look like I can. Oh, maybe can I? I can. Oh, I love that. Okay, so that's really good. Let's make it that League Gothic so it's nice and narrow. And then can we change the size of it? No, we can't. Boo! So we can't change the size, but I do like that you can change the font. So let me just preview this and see how it looks. I'm not sure, looking at, having looked at the template, if things are going to animate in or if they're just going to be static and I need to add animation. So let's hit this preview button, the top right. Okay. So if you saw there that the bar graphs kind of popped on, but the text just was static, I wonder if we can do something about that. Let's exit the preview. And let's do enter effect. Is this arrow icon here at the top right in the inspector area of our platform. So I've got the text selected. I'm going to hit enter effect. And obviously right now there's none. So we can do a lot of different things here. If you want to preview it, you have to hit the play button. This is one thing about Vyond that I, again, don't love. And a lot of other platforms, if you want to preview an effect, you literally just hover your mouse over that effect. Here, again, it's a lot of drop-down menus. I have to drop down into blinds, and then I have to click the button, and then I have to, then I can preview it. It's just one of those things that I think the design could be improved a little bit. It could be a little more intuitive, a little more speedy and efficient to use. And so it just feels a little dated the way that this is put together. I think things have come a long way, and I see a lot of what I'm asking for in other platforms. So I think that could be better too. So let's go again. I'm going to hit pop. Okay, so this just scales in. Oh, that scales in with like little firework. I like that. Oh, and I like the single ring. I don't like the star as much. I really like the dots. Let's do that. And that's it. Is it set? I can't tell. Let's try it again. Yeah, I like that. I think that's really cute. Let's watch it one more time. Okay. All right. One of the things I'm noticing here in preview is that the Vyond logo is down here in the bottom left, which is a little concerning because I'm on a paid version. This is not a free put a watermark version of this video. So is that Vyond logo going to be on this video once I export it, even though I paid for it? I'm like so confused by that. Let's just cross that bridge when we come to it, but that's just something for us to keep an eye on. So let's save that. All right, now let me try again with that audio and see if we can get this to work. I'm gonna input my script again. So what I'm going to ask you to do is after I submit this, I'm going to ask you to draw your attention to the bottom of the screen so you can see the error message I'd been getting. It'll pop up orange down here at the bottom, and then it disappears kind of fast. So we'll see if it's working. Where was she? I think we're looking for Julie. There she is. Yeah, this is not a good sign. See right here, we're unable to connect you to the server. Please try again later. It's very annoying. I wonder if my script is too long. Maybe it doesn't like that I'm putting in such a long script. Yes, maybe that's what it is. So it didn't like that I was trying to put in my whole script. And the reason, like I said before, the reason I was trying to do that was because every time I want to add new text to speech, I have to go through the exercise of finding the same narrator over and over and over again, and it's frustrating. So I was trying to save myself a little time, but I guess it won't let me do that. So let me show you something I really do like about Vyond and the way that the timeline works. I can literally grab the edge of this scene and drag it out for the duration of my narration. And let me just see here, look at the little teeny increments that I can change the duration by. In a lot of other platforms, you can only change the duration of scenes by like half-second increments. And I hate that because I want to have a certain pace to a video, and it's important to me to have a lot of control. And in terms of the timeline functionality, this is really great. It feels just like a pro editing platform. So I like that very, very much. Let's see if I can grab, yeah, and just like in a pro editor, I can grab the audio and slide it around. And I love that. I really do. Let's preview this.
Did you know that videos on LinkedIn get 3 times the engagement of text posts?
Great. Okay. So let's save it. I love that it reminds you to save. And I think it even auto saves as we go, which I also appreciate. So let's add our next scene. And let's build it with a character to start. Let's choose a character who's going to be having an idea. So you'll see here the characters, again, everything's into subfolders, but they have characters kind of sorted by, I would say, their outfits pretty much is the way that they're sorted. So, you know, holiday costumes, catering, so anybody that works in food service, government, so you've got police officers and firemen. We wanted casual is really people just in general casual clothing. It's kind of a catch-all category. And let's do office because we're talking about LinkedIn. So maybe want something in a business setting. So we want them to be dressed appropriately. Let's choose this girl. She's pretty cool looking. Oops. There we go. Okay. So I can resize her. I can't change her clothes. In some platforms, you can change like the color of what people are wearing. So I wish I could do that. Here I can, once I've selected her, I can give her different actions. Again, everything is sorted into different subfolders. Let me just see like what that action is because I know she's going to be moving. So let's just start here. Okay, one thing I've noticed about Vyond is the processing times are really slow to preview things. It kind of reminds me, it's not quite as bad as when I did Revio. That Revio one, it just took so long anytime I wanted to just see what I had created, and it was really frustrating. This is kind of similar. And she's thinking, okay. So I'm going to, well, let's add our narration again.
Here are 3 ideas for LinkedIn video.
Okay, I'm going to make the scene a little longer. I'm going to put the narration down a little lower. Again, I love the functionality of this timeline. I feel like it's really good. Let's add an asset. So for ideas, I think of like a light bulb. Something else I want to show you about the way that the assets are organized, which to be honest with you, isn't something that I like, is that you see these 3 different icons here. And if you notice, this one says business friendly, whiteboard animation, and contemporary. Those are the same 3 categories that Vyond suggested to us at the beginning when we first started our video, and it wanted to know what style video we were going to be creating. And I told you that it didn't really matter what you picked because everything is already included and accessible to you no matter which of those 3 choices you chose. And that's what I meant by that. So I've got this style, I've got that style for whiteboard animation, or I've got this style for the contemporary. And any one of these I can drop into my scene. So for me, personally, I wish that all these light bulbs would just be in one window where I could just shop and I wouldn't have to click around. Oh, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. And actually in this particular situation, since I'm literally putting this on a whiteboard, I think I like this one. I'm gonna shrink it down. And let's add some text. So again, we've got the business friendly style. And again, if it has a play button, you can preview it. For me, this is where I really think you should be able to just hover over and see that action. I don't think you should have to click any buttons. It should just show you as you hover, but you know, that's not what this program does. I mean, even YouTube now, when you hover over thumbnails, you see a preview. I mean, everybody's doing that, which makes me think that this platform has not been updated in a while. All right, so I can see that this graphic is actually two different elements. We've got the circle, which I actually really like, and then we've got the text. I'm gonna shrink all this down. And I wanna modify that text. So this is like a handwriting text, obviously. I like this caveat brush font better. And let's modify that text now. Wish they just had like a backgrounds. Am I missing it? Like a backgrounds asset library. Ah, there it is. Interesting. So if we click this whole frame, this icon, which I've never noticed before, pops up. And then here you have locations, and then here you have patterns. So this is something that I've also noticed about Vyond, which to me is a little weird, is that you kind of have to dig for things, and it's organized in a way that personally for me doesn't make the most sense, because in my mind the backgrounds belong with the rest of the assets on the top left screen, but here they are on the top right, and I find that very confusing. I don't think that's the best method personally, in my opinion. Maybe it's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious if you feel like you knew where this was or you were not surprised by it. And now that I look, wow, you guys, look at all of these locations. I love this. So here's all these offices. Okay, so she's indoors. What if we put that in? You guys, oh, look at how great that looks. I'm into it. Okay, so now let's preview this and see how this is going to look before, you know, if any of these things have any motion. You know, I think we know that the light bulb doesn't. I wonder if I don't think the text comes in any fancy way either, but let's just see what it looks like.
Here are 3 ideas for LinkedIn video.
Oh, so the whiteboard elements had hands drawing them in. I think we can change that. I don't want that because it's very out of context for these big hands to be coming in on this style video, but I think we can fix it.
Here are 3 ideas for LinkedIn video.
All right, really good. So now let's go back to the character we have in this shot and see if we can make her do anything else. So we have her like kind of having an idea. Let's see if we can change her expression or anything else. And here we go over to the mask for expression. And so I can have her doing a lot of different faces. She can be sad, she can be neutral, she can be happy. And then the other thing is that you can see she can be at a 3/4 angle, which is what she's at now, or she can face the camera, so she'll be looking right at us. I kind of like that she's looking at the whiteboard. That makes, you know, obviously a lot of sense.
Here are 3 ideas for LinkedIn video.
I'm gonna go ahead and make the rest of my scenes, and then we'll come back and I'll show you a few other things. Okay, I think it's kind of cute. It obviously needs music. The voiceover's so flat and robotic, but you know how I feel about that. And then what I would also like to do is see if we can figure out how to create transitions between each of the scenes. I know I can do it. And then the other thing is I know there's a camera feature in Vyond as well. So let me play with that first. So I'm just gonna pick my first scene here. Let us click the camera button, see what happens. So it says add a camera. Position and size. So we're seeing the entire frame here is what the position and size has accounted for with this orange border. So I haven't played with this yet. Let's see. Okay, so I can do a start position and size and an end position and size. So instead of putting in numeric values here, which can get a little dicey because you might be changing your aspect ratio accidentally, you can just grab this yellow border. So basically I think what I expect to happen here is that it's going to zoom in. I guess let's preview it.
Did you know that videos on LinkedIn get 3 times the engagement of text posts?
Okay, yeah, so you can see
ideas for LinkedIn video.
You could see there that the screen kind of zoomed in. Let's do the next one and see if we can get it to do something a little different. Okay, so I'm not going to put a camera effect on every shot because it's kind of the thing you might want to use sparingly. Otherwise, it loses effect if you use it for every scene. So I sprinkled it on a few scenes. I'm happy with it. And now let's figure out how we can create transitions between each of the individual scenes so they don't just cut from one scene to the next. Maybe we can add a cool effect. So if you click a scene here, in the inspector here, this little motion turns into scene transition. So if you remember, it said something else when we were selecting individual objects within our scenes. That's how I had things fly in or pop in or whatever. Now, if you've just got your whole scene selected, that button becomes scene transition. So it can be a little confusing because that inspector is constantly changing depending on what you've clicked elsewhere in your platform. It can be a little confusing, but once you get used to it, I think it makes some sense. It's not a big deal. I kind of like these circle transitions. Let's try that one. See how that feels.
Here are 3 ideas for LinkedIn video. Idea number 1.
Great, so that worked exactly as expected. I'm just gonna go real quick and add more transitions. We'll do a whole bunch more. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added different transitions between each of the scenes. In my honest opinion, I don't think that these transitions are amazing. They don't really feel that fresh, that well designed. They feel a little dated. And to be honest, as I was, I've got a lot of scenes here, so I felt like I was kind of running out of options that I really liked. And I just started throwing things in just to show you guys the different options that there are. But not I like that the feature exists, but it's not really my favorite, if I'm being honest. So now let's talk about adding some music behind this video. There's a pretty, from what I could see already, a pretty good sized music library included with your Vyond subscription. So let's try to find some music that works for this. Okay, so I've added my music. A few things to say about the music library. It's not quite as robust as I thought it was. It seemed at first when I opened it up, it seemed like there were a lot of tracks, and there were a fair amount of tracks, but not tons of tracks. Of course, you can upload your own royalty-free music if you would like, so that's really great. The other thing that you should know about the audio library is that it doesn't seem at first to be sorted into moods, but you can search moods. Like in the search field, you can put in like happy, and then anything that sounds happy or that they've categorized as happy shows up in the search results. The other thing that I liked about working with the music in the timeline on Vyond is that you can split the track so that you can take the beginning of the music and the end of the music and kind of sandwich them together. What I like about that is that you can have the music sting out instead of fading out. So let's go ahead and try downloading and see what the options are for downloading on the Essentials plan that I'm working on today, and then we'll talk about pricing. I'm gonna hit that download button. Okay, so if I want to download in full HD, so we're not even talking 4K. If I want to download in full HD, I have to upgrade my plan. For now, I can only download it in 720p. This is one of the things that makes me feel like Vyond has not been updated in a while. I mean, 720 is just, it's dated. I mean, everyone's doing HD now, if not 4K, right? So this just makes me feel like they haven't updated the platform in a while, and it's expensive. We'll get to pricing in a second, but this is an expensive platform, and for what I'm paying per month to not be able to download in HD is bonkers to me. I think it's crazy. So let's just download that 720.
Did you know that videos on LinkedIn get 3 times the engagement of text posts? Here are 3 ideas for LinkedIn video. Idea number 1. Answer a frequently asked question. Idea number 2. Interview a guest expert. Idea number 3. Share a breaking news update about your industry. It's time to get rolling.
Okay, so that is our finished video. I think it's really cute. I really do. I love the camera movements. The first thing I'm noticing though, right off the bat, is that it has a watermark on it. That's unacceptable to me. Honestly, if you're paying for a platform, you should not be having a watermark on your videos that you're exporting. Why? That to me is really a huge drawback of this platform. Let's take a look at the pricing now and see if you pay a certain other level, if you can get rid of that watermark. Okay, here is the page for Vyond pricing, and unfortunately, they don't really give you a chart that shows you everything you need to know about pricing all in one place. But let's just click around and I'll just show you what they have. So let's go to personal. Let's start there. So this is $299 a year, which is what I am working on today. So here are the different, okay, so export options. This is really where I felt like there was a huge drawback. In the exporting, you can export in 720 resolution, and you have to upgrade to premium in order to not have the watermark. And then if you want to upload in 1080, again, you have to do the premium. So it's the same templates between essential and premium. In terms of style, it's the same. And in terms of support, if you want the live chat, it's premium. Let's click on over to the business one. So the premium is $649 a year. The professional is $999 a year. Let's see that comparison. You can import your own fonts on the professional. So you have to be paying over $83 a month if you want to import your own fonts. That's not great. Export options are all the same. Oh, common craft. So you get a different level of templates if you go professional. And yeah, there's a whole different type of video if you go professional. And then in terms of priority, you get better support. And then if you want those collaboration features that we talked about under the share, if you wanted to get a shareable link, that apparently you need to be on the professional for as well. And then let's look at the enterprise version. Now we're comparing the professional, which we just looked at, to the enterprise. Let's see what the difference is here. I really wish they would just lay this out for you. So those are the same. Those are the same. Same. Okay. So you have more security on the enterprise version. And then in terms of style, everything else is the same, and the price difference on that. So the professional is $83 a month. The enterprise, you have to contact them for pricing. So who knows? It might be the kind of thing where they build a package for you with training and, something like that, which would be really nice if you needed it. And then, you can change these per month. So if we pay monthly, you can see the prices are much more expensive. So now let's talk about what I liked and didn't like about Vyond. I really liked the characters. There were so many characters. I really liked the backgrounds. There were tons and tons of background options, tons of assets, tons of stuff to work with, and I really loved that. I also loved the way you worked within the timeline. I loved that you could just click and drag to change the length of your elements. To me, that's like super intuitive. It's exactly what I would expect from an editing program. I loved that it had the text to speech feature. I couldn't believe how many voices and how many different languages you could get text to speech in. I thought that was super impressive and great. I also loved the camera movements. That is, again, something else you don't see in every platform. And I think it really adds like something special to your videos that you're making. I loved that you could do whiteboard style or the cartoon style all in one platform. I think that's really great. I loved that you could put in hex codes for anything that you wanted to change the color of, or that they had those predetermined palettes for you. I think they did a nice job picking those palettes. So those are the things I really, really loved about Vyond. Let's talk about what I didn't love. I didn't like that you couldn't upload your own fonts without paying a lot of money per month. I also didn't like that with the text to speech, every time I wanted to add a new voiceover, I had to go back and find that same narrator every time. It wouldn't just remember what my default was. And even if I copied the clip from the previous scene and pasted it into the next scene, it defaulted back to that first narrator that I didn't like. So every time I had to go through and find that narrator with this tiny text, and there wasn't even like a search bar that I could find the narrator I wanted. I did not like that. One of the other things I didn't like is that while there were tons of assets and scenes, I didn't like that I couldn't just see everything in front of me and make my selections. Everything was in subfolder after subfolder after subfolder after subfolder, and I really don't like that. I also didn't like that if you hovered your mouse over an asset or something that was supposed to move, it didn't preview it for you. You had to click play. I think that could have been a lot better. I also felt like some of the scene transitions were like really dated. Just, they didn't have a lot of like great zazazoo, you know what I mean? They're just kind of like the basic wipes or whatever that you might see in a professional editing program from like 15 years ago. Nothing really amazing that stood out to me. And a lot of these platforms do have really cool transitions. So I felt like that was lacking a lot. And then last but not least, the pricing. Vyond is outrageously expensive, in my opinion. I cannot believe that even paying $50 a month, they're still watermarking my videos. They're only letting me export them in 720. It's just, I don't know if Vyond was like early to the game where they could kind of get away with these tactics, but there's too much competition and too many of these platforms out now for them to be charging those prices and then still not giving you everything you want, still giving me like a watermarked video at a lower resolution. I honestly, it's hard because I actually really like this program. I loved the way my video came out. I loved the camera movements. There's so many things about it I like. But if you're willing to give up a couple of those bells and whistles, you would be better off getting Toonly and or Doodly, both of which I'll link to below, just because the value is so much better. So I am just gonna say, I don't know that I can recommend Vyond only because of the pricing, but it's a good platform. It's just not the best value. So that's how I feel about that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Let me know in the comments if you use Vyond and if you love it, if you think the price is worth it, or if there's anything else you want me to try. This is where I get ideas, is right from you guys in the comments. So I'm always here to give you kind of what you're looking for. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.